This is the first episode of Craig's Car Reviews. Today we are reviewing the Lexus LS430, and this is actually my personal car. I've had this for approximately 4 years now, and I came out of a Pontiac G6. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, why should I listen to a car review from someone who's owned a Pontiac G6 for 10 years? That was my first car, and it was tough, and I grew up in Michigan, and, you gotta buy American. My dad wouldn't let me buy a BMW 3 Series or, a 540i, used one, or a Porsche 944. They were like $6,000 back when I was looking for a car. I had a pick of some, I could have got a WRX, and Dad's like, you gotta buy American. And I didn't know anything about cars, so I just bought a G6, and it sucked. I learned how to drive from racing dirt bikes, riding side-by-sides, and I used to test drive for Chrysler FCA Stellantis, whatever they are called at this moment. And I did that for probably like 3 years. I've good at driving in snow. Alright, scratch that. You don't care what I do. You just want to hear a review of the car. Well, this car is the best. Honestly, it's got everything you need. It's 4 seats, so you can fit all your boys in it, if you're rolling around and having fun. It's comfortable. Everyone's got a nice side mirror. I'm moving it right now. You can open the sunroof, get some sun in. Everyone's got cigarette holders. Not that even people smoke cigarettes anymore, or even weed. I don't know if I'd trust them to knock their ash in the ashtray, but you probably could if you've got a steady hand. And the thing is, this car will allow you to do it because it has the suspension for the person putting their ash in the ashtray. It's got the best suspension, as Trump would say. Glides over everything. I have stock suspension on this, and I got it 110,000 miles, and it is absolutely smooth. It has not been replaced. It does not leak oil. It still has dampening. There's no air sound going over any bumps. It is just rock solid. And these Phoenix drivers who drive like this guy's coming up on me in an exit lane. It's going like 85 miles per hour, and I come out of the entrance ramp, and everyone's a maniac here. This car will allow you to avoid the maniacs. You can go from Phoenix to Flagstaff, and it's hot. Maybe 115 degrees. Going over mountain passes. The car is hot. The sun's beating down. You're driving for a long period of time at high speeds. This car does it. Air conditioning on, it just loves it, eats it up. I can go 100 miles per hour up a hill if I wanted to in this thing. They just chug along, happy as a clam, the old Lexus LS. The seats are great. The seats aren't breaking down. There's no cracks in the seats. They ventilate, They have good lumbar. You can do all the adjustments. The base will pop out of the seats. The comfort is spectacular in this car, and to be honest, that's the main part of it. The wood steering wheel is smooth. The air conditioning works. It puts the temperature where you want it, and how hot or cold you want it. I don't have a problem with it. Air conditioner works. Mileage. Let's talk about the engine now. We already did. We'll do it again. Mileage is 25 highway. Well, actually 26, 27 highway, 25 if you're going like real fast, like 90s. But I don't do that because I'm a responsible citizen. I would never speed. Transmission works, it's 6 speeds. It doesn't miss ships. It's not clunky. I don't have a problem with it. I changed the trans fluid once, and I changed it at 100,000 miles, and there was no problem with it. It drained out. He said it looked dirty. I'm sure it did. I should probably get it changed in another like 10,000 miles, according to this kid named Kavir, who's probably right about the trans fluid interval change. And then, suspension. When I was talking about the suspension, that goes with chassis too. It's I don't push this car. I don't really know the limits. I don't know if it has I assume it would probably have a little bit of understeer at the limit. They would just build the car like that, but I don't really drive it at the limit, so I don't know how balanced this chassis is, which is kind of stupid for me to give a review and not tell you chassis dynamics, but I don't know. I drive this like an old man. So you may have this car for 5 years like me and not really understand what the chassis can do, but it can go around. I lived in upstate New York, and I took the sweeping corners in the Adirondacks, and there were some hills, there were some drops, and this car was a lot of fun. I could pass a car. You could probably keep up with a pretty, not a terrible car, as long as they're not driving recklessly fast. You can go through all the swoops and the turns, and it's smooth, and I was having a lot of fun driving. And to be honest, that was the first time I've ever had fun driving on a road. I go to national parks with it all the time. Went to Yosemite, Joshua Tree, of course. Where does it allow me to go? Well, I go skiing with it. I lived in upstate New York, and I could get to Gore, and I could get to this local rinky-dink ski hill that's 30 miles away. If people were going skiing, I could still go. It was a little dicey with, all seasons on. But this is when I had before I fixed the, there's a small hole in the exhaust, and so it had to be welded up. So that was affecting the O2 sensor. So then I had my mechanic weld a Y-pipe on the exhaust, a nice new Y-pipe for $400. And then that went away, but because I had that error code, it would take off stability control and yaw control, and I had a winter drift missile, and I would do donuts like a menace to society. I had a lot of fun with it in the snow. It's not getting you up an icy hill though. There's no way it could do that. I drive slow as I don't drive that fast in the snow with this thing. I don't think I would. Stability control I've heard is pretty good in it. I've never spun it with stability control. I try to do drifts and it won't allow me to. So I would assume stability control works pretty good in the snow. There's got a snow mode here. There's a snow mode, a power mode, and a standard. I always put it in standard because once again I'm a good citizen. So we talked about the chassis, we talked about the engine, we talked about the trans. Reliability, it's great, it's an LS. I've put on, 50,000 miles. I got it in Minnesota, and I just trusted it. I trusted driving all the way back from Minnesota to Michigan to upstate New York in 2 days. Stopped at my parents' house, I said hi to them. It's no issues at all. It doesn't burn oil. Intervals, I've done 5,000 to 7,000 miles synthetic oil changes. It doesn't burn oil. One time, I was a doofus, and the oil filter, when I screwed it on it started leaking 6 days. I smelled oil driving on the highway, and I ignored it, and I came back in the car. I was driving on the highway, and I got an engine sensor light, and this oil was just spilling out of the bottom of my engine. And I'm I'll just keep an eye on the temperature of the engine, and then I'll just drive it home like an idiot. And my dad came out. He's like, "Why is this oil all over the driveway?" And I smelled the oil. I'm like, "Shit, this is bad." I put it under a oil canister, and 1 quart drains out. This car takes 5.4 quarts or something. And it's been fine after that. And I've driven 30,000 miles, doesn't burn oil, still has the same amount of horsepower. So, I mean, this engine's like mega efficient. It's fast. The cooling system, the timing belts, I got it preventatively changed at 100,000 miles, so that's good. The reliability, suspension's good. Weird wear items, there's none. I've changed some lights. The lights probably aren't that great. I changed one of those front headlights. Well, not the glass, just the bulb. The bulb burns out because these are old people bulbs. They're not the new LEDs that blind people. Because this is not a car that, that blinds people. This car is a car that, people see this car and they're not mad at you for having money. They're just like, oh, that's a nice old car in good condition. That guy's made it in life. He's just hanging out. He's just having a good time. And that's what this car is about. Your friends come and they're like, yeah, let's ride in the Lexus. That's cool. I don't want to ride my friend's Nissan Versa going mountain biking. That sucks. Everyone's coming in my car. We're comfy and we're having a good time, And, that's the benefit of the car. If you want a car like that today, it's going to cost you, What cars are that good anymore? A 4-cylinder whines on the highway, I bet. I haven't really driven them too often. So I'm just shit-talking right now. But I can't imagine a 4-cylinder is just cruising along, going to Flagstaff from Sedona. It won't do 85 up a hill for forever. It's going to sound annoying. This car, it doesn't even sound anything. It's got a nice little V8 tone to it, just very subtly, just to let you know and let the passengers know that you have a V8. And if you chose to put the throttle down, it means something. And everything about this car, it's got a sense of prestige to it. The paint is nice, the seats are good, the wood is real, the leather is semi-aniline or aniline or something. It takes a lot of money to get that new car today, I bet. Try to find a seat as well made as this and as comfy as this. You're probably looking at $80,000 because you know what? The new Lexus GX seats are not that great. I've been looking at these cars and I've been pricing out future cars, and the seats are going to be worse than my car. The engine's going to be worse than my car. The reliability is probably not going to be any better. The mileage is going to be worse with the gas cars for some reason. Can't make a nice gas engine reliable or fuel efficient make a 32 horsepower V8 or 32 mile per gallon V8 or something on the highway in a big car like this. That'd be cool. They don't develop them anymore because government are haters. And all cars could have became like this if the government was not a hater, but they are. So now we're stuck with people paying ungodly amounts of money for a BMW 5 Series or an AMG that's not that good, and it's cars could have been better, but they're not. And that's why you should not go into engineering, because you'll be hampered by the man. So this is a car that's nice, and it's a car of what a car should be before society got a hold of the car, and they said, we're going to make it shittier, we're going to make it cost too much, and we're going to make the engine worse. So this is a car that it's before that time, and and it's we got to keep these around. We can't let them go and be destroyed, be not maintained. We got to preserve the Lexus LS, because this is the sign. This car was made before the recession of 2007. Okay, so people still had money. Our country was growing. 9/11 may have happened, and there may have been a war, but all hope is not lost. And this is the generation of we're still doing this. Everyone's got hope. It seems like. Do people still have hope anymore? I don't know. I've been told by Reddit people don't have as much hope, but Reddit's usually wrong. But so this is a car from a different era, but it's nice, and you should continue to love it. and I love the car. And that's Craig's review of the Lexus LS430. I'm pulling into my garage right now.